Ashland Branch Library is so glad you're here today for the first in our special series for Black History Month. Can you all understand me?
Yes.
Yeah. First, just some basic logistics. Restrooms and water fountains are out the door to the right and then to the right again. By coming here, you're agreeing to wear your mask during the entire program tonight. And that's for everybody's safety, although we do have UV scrubbers in the air systems in this room. It's the safest room in the building. But we want to keep everybody safe. Our series here is co-sponsored by the Ashland Branch Library, the Black Heritage Society of Hanover, and the Randolph-Macon College Department of African American Studies. And so we are all so glad you're here. We are recording this program, and it will be posted on our website and the library's YouTube channel as soon as we can get it uploaded. Okay? And tonight we're pleased to have Glennroy Bailey, flutist, and Bill Evans, keyboards, and they're going to tell us about the history of Black music. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and it's a delight to be here. And how can I put it? Black history is special. No one anywhere had the type of beginnings that we had. And every day when I wake up, I just thank the Lord that I am who I am. Had I not been born African American, Black, whatever you want to call it, I wouldn't know what I would be doing right now. I don't know what I would be doing. But thank God that He gave me a gift, and He gave me a solid determination, and that helps me understand better what it is we do. You wake up one morning, you kiss your family goodbye, and you walk out the door. But you don't come back. You were kidnapped, thrown into the belly of a vessel. I don't know this person over here, I don't know that person over there. And you're just taken away. Everybody in that vessel got there the same way. They spoke different languages. And even if they could speak, they were forbidden to speak because the ship operators were afraid of a mutiny. They would take over the ship, so you couldn't talk. But along the ride, somebody started humming. Somebody started doing something. And it might have been something like, beautiful. Now, I did that because if I couldn't talk to you, I could still coerce you to join me. I didn't ask anybody in here to sing or hum, but you did. So my thought is somebody in that ship, the belly of that beast, started doing something, whatever it was that was common to them at that time. And they joined in. And when we got here, it was welcome to America. Snatch, you go that way, you go that way, and you were where you were. And you started from scratch. So I always ask one of my professors, I said, well, if they had nothing, how did they learn to play instruments? How did that happen? He said, well, they were allowed to have services and the slaves would be in the back. And meanwhile, the piano, they going through the service. Who cleaned the churches? They did. So the piano was there. They went over there, messed with it. And I think of Billy because Billy self-taught himself to play the piano. And I was at Virginia Union. This is all part of it. When I was at Virginia Union, I heard the piano down the hall. We knew who the piano players were from just hearing them. And I heard this sound. That's not nobody from around here. And I left my class, took my flute with me, went down there, and this guy sitting there playing the piano. And Odell Hobbs told me he was coming. It was a year after my first year at school. And I went in there and I put my flute together and I slid up underneath and we started playing. And then we went from one tune to the next and the next, and people quietly circled the room. By the time we finished playing, it was as many people in here now as it was, as it was many people in there then as they're in here now. And my teacher, Russell Wilson, came down and said, if you walk out of my class again, I'm going to fail you. Y'all sounded good. And then went on back upstairs. But that's how I met Billy. And Odell Hobbs told me a year before, he said, guy's coming, Billy Evans, and y'all gonna be best friends forever. And since we met that day, I can't shake him. I can't shake him. That's right, you can't shake me. But we started off, the reason I did what I did because the very first known music was, for us, the Negro spiritual. And these songs were about escaping down by the riverside, steal away deep river, things like that. It was like, deep river, my home is over Jordan, deep river, Lord, I want to go home to campground. And it was all about stuff about running away and things of that nature. And a lot of times the songs were used as signals for escape. And they always talking about down by the riverside because the dogs couldn't pick up the scent. And all they did was try to head north. That's what the early spirituals were all about. Then, when we finally got into the church, as I mentioned earlier, we started putting ourselves into it. So we did Amazing Grace, but then we started doing it like this. We went to gospel music. We went to hymns. And all of it had to do with our feelings. Billy and I didn't rehearse that. We've done it before, but it was different then and it was different tonight. That's the fun part for me. I try to throw him sometimes. He just wait for me. Then when he just drop it, I can't shake him. But it's all a part of the natural ability to hear, listen, and follow and play. And I feel like it's an ethnic thing for some people that you just can feel it and you can just present it. And then when we got to, like I said, we got into the church music, and then the gospel kicked in, and that also gave a lot of people that sung or felt a different kind of way about the music an opportunity to express themselves that way. And then there were tunes such as "Oh Happy Day." Thank you. The gospel was a way for musicians to praise the Lord, let their skills pop out and do what they might do, and it also helped put money in their pockets. You know, the more exciting it was, more people want to hear you, they come out and see you. So that was a way of making a living as well. But it was also coming from the heart, and you can tell when it doesn't. And you can tell when it does, and it's just a magical thing when it happens like that. You had people like James Cleveland and Mahalia Jackson and Marian Anderson. These people, it came from down in here. I mean, you could feel it. I saw something on TV yesterday morning on, oh God, anyway, they had this girl that sound like Marian Anderson. And when I heard, I looked at the TV and she was like about 17. And they had you had to guess what she was going to do. They had three things. You guess what these people were going to do. And she started singing. I just froze. They just gave a little bit of it. Oh my God! But the sound that she had was unbelievable, and that's God given. You can't create that. And Lord, I hope I find her somewhere and hear that again because she was unbelievable. Whitney Houston started in the church. She went out and made a lot of money, but she started in the church. And one of my favorites that she did was I Love the Lord. So I would like to present that right now. Thank you. Through the time, we're going to slide through some of these things. We're going to leave church. We're going to go into the streets. That's where the blues was one of the early forms that came along. Why the blues? People were hurting. People were trying to make something out of nothing. Jobs were hard to find, and people just did whatever they could do to make things happen. So on the street corners, I went to New Orleans and I saw little kids like that dancing and singing on the street to make money. Now they weren't out there because mom said, go out there and make that money. They was trying to do what they could do. I'm friend a lot of most of you know Plunkett. Plunkett told me, he said he was down in what's the it'll come to me in a minute. But Plunkett went down further down in New Orleans and saw the kids out in the street with instruments. And I said, well, did you play with them? He said, no, I'm not going to let them show me up. But, they're that good, and it's just natural. It was natural. And it was so funny. I said, man, you got to be kidding. He said, no. He said, if you want to hear something, I'm trying to remember where he was, but it was flat out, impressive the way he spoke about the talents of these kids. And he was from the heart with it. And then when we talk about blues, you can't talk about blues and not mention Billie Holiday, Billy Eckstine, Louis Armstrong, people like that. And the blues, like I said, came from the heart, and they made you do stuff that just dig down and get it and make it happen. We're gonna do one of my favorites from out of that genre is Mo Better Blues. Thank you. Billie Holiday. God bless the child. Gotta do that. Thank you. Thank you very much. In the zone of jazz, some jazz singers, tough people. And there's this one guy, bless his heart, Al Jarreau.
Yeah.
We're in this love together.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of that for you. Al said, it's like a diamond ring, it's a precious thing. And you never wanna lose it. It's like a favorite song that you love to sing. Every time you hear the music, I tell you that we're in this love together. Got the kind that lasts forever. Don't you know we're in this love together. It's like berries on the vine. It gets sweeter all the time. Yeah. Al was smooth. He was one of the few vocalists that could scat against the instrumentals. Saxophone, trumpet, he just throw it back at you. We miss people like that. Al Jarreau was very special, very, very special. Well, slide it into some swing. Now, swing jazz was more or less big bands. Duke Ellington, Count Basie, guys like that. And they had this big sound. We don't have the big sound, but we give you a little feel of it. We give you a feel of it. Billy, let's do a little bit of sound. Thank you. I'm going to tell you a quick story about the big bands. Duke Ellington, Count Basie, those guys had the best bands on the planet. And they had a contest at the Savoy in New York City. And anybody could play off to get into it, could get into it. And there were a group of guys from Richmond, Virginia that got into that competition. And the name was the Johnson Happy Pals. In fact, this is their picture.
Yeah. Oh, that's the picture.
Yeah. This is their picture of the Johnson Happy Pals. And that's Emmett Johnson right there. Mm-hmm. That's Roy Johnson right there. Mm-hmm. They're brothers. I was practicing one day, flute at home, and Emmett was there. And he was in another room. He said, "Hey, stop fighting the music, boy." I'm like, "What? Stop fighting the music." He came in there. He sat down beside me. He said, "You fighting the music?" I was playing scales on the flute. I said, "What you mean?" I said, "What would you know about this?" I didn't know about the Johnson Happy Pals. They were my uncles. they were my grandmother's sister's husband, Roy. And I grew up in the house, played all, he kept me on all during the week and all that. We were, you were just Uncle Emmett, mm-hmm. Uncle Roy, but he said to me, you looking at it, he said, but you fighting the notes. And I thought I was doing okay. He said, look at it. And I looked at it, he said, no, just pan it. Don't look at note for note, just pan it. Anything in there you don't know? I said, no. He said, just look at it and go with it. Mm-hmm. And I said, okay. And I did it. And instantly, it changed how I was reading the music. Mm-hmm. They never had a professional lesson in their lives. Mm-hmm. They learned it by doing it. I was so blown away. And then after that, that's when I connected. I said, Johnson, I said, were you? He said, yeah, that's us. But they never talked about it. Mm-hmm. It was just something they did. Now, they beat Duke Ellington and all those cats for the prize. The prize was you had a year's contract at the Savoy. They couldn't do it because they were cab drivers, elevator operators, janitors, custodians, all that stuff here. So they had to disband on paper because they won't be sued. But they kept playing, throughout the area. But man, I was blown away. But I was like in college when I realized who I've been around all my life. But I always have to tell that story because everybody can't speak of that. Now I'm gonna tell you this, and then I'm gonna jump back into the music. Have you ever knowingly spoken to someone that's in the Black Museum? In the Black History Museum? Some of us have. And I have to tell you this. Billy and I are in the Black Museum history here in Richmond. And we're in there because somebody took our picture while we we're at Union, and some kind of way our picture got into the museum. It's been there for years. And ladies, I'm sorry y'all can't see it because it's in the men's room. It's on the wall in the men's room with Muhammad Ali and a couple other little things. But we're on that from Virginia Union. Billy and myself and another guy named Thomas Shelton, who's a North Carolina, school in North Carolina. But we're in there, so I get tickled to death. And the thing that was tickling to me the most, I went to the school, so I had gym in there for 3 years, but it's just now it's the museum. But every time I drive past, I just smile and wave. I say, yeah, I'm up in there. That's just an honor, a real honor to be in there. I don't know for how long, but I'm in there right now. Thank God, I take it. All right, moving on. Kansas City was one of the swing tunes. We're gonna do a little bit of that. It's hard with just two people, but we're gonna do it anyway. And swing, Kansas City. I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. They got some pretty little women there, and I'm gonna get me one. I said, I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. Yeah, I'm going to Kansas City, Kansas City, here I come. They got some pretty little women there, and I'm gonna get me one. Well, I might take a plane, might take a train, but if I have to walk, I'm gonna get there just the same. Going to Kansas City, here I come. They got some pretty little women there, and I'm gonna get me one. Yeah, 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 yeah. Going to stand on the corner of 12th Street and Vine. Gonna stand on the corner of 12th Street and Vine. With my Kansas City baby and my bottle of Kansas City wine. Well, I might take a plane, might take a train, but if I have to walk, I'm gonna get there just the same. Going to Kansas City, here I come. They got some pretty little women there, and I'm gonna get me one. Oh yeah! Thank you. Yeah, we have fun with that one. Then we move into a newer phase of jazz called the smooth jazz era. That's when things well, start putting instrumental music to pop songs. That's pretty much what it is. And they got some strong George Benson, people like that, just as smooth they can be. Billy, I know it's hard on the small piano, but if you give me a little bit of breeze, and we're gonna do that, and then after that, I want to share a song called "The Wind Beneath My Wings" with you. That's another way of smooth jazz is bringing it, making regular music jazz.
You got it. You got it. Yeah. Yeah. Go, Billy. You are. All right. I could hear it very low.
Y'all know this costs extra, right?
Technical issue.
You gotta go this way.
But you still sound good, though. Hello.
We almost done. See, Billy will do anything to get out of plan.
I don't want to use his amp anymore.
We're gonna go ahead to the next one. close. There are so many genres we still haven't touched on, but there are people like, well, you know, you have the R&B people, the rock and roll people. That was crazy. Rock and roll was just phenomenal. Then you had the folks that just made it all happen. Hip hop. Now, when hip hop came along, they said, "What do you think about that?" I said, "Well, I like the fact that they created another genre out of music that existed and just took it to another level. And again, made money. Made money. And a lot of people say, I don't like rap, you know, but the only thing about it, you know, it depends on what you're rapping about and how you say it and what you do. You know, and there's clean rap and there's some rough rap, you know. But it's still original and it's authentic and it's from us. I would like to close with the battle hymn of the Republic. And it's because right now our country is going through a whole lot. And when I play the song, I can feel goodness in there. And I want to just dedicate that to everybody who has been in the military, all the nurses that's on the war field, right now in the battlefield, the doctors, and everybody needs to pull together. And if we can't pull together as a nation and as a world, it's not going to last much longer. We got to do the best we can when we can. And you can't cross science with politics. Science ignores politics. It does what it does. And I tell you, if there was nothing you can do about it, you just go with the road. But if there's something you can do about it, you might want to think about it. Anyway, that's me speaking. That's just me. And by the way, I don't know if I ever actually introduced Billy Evans. Well, she did. She did. But anyway, this is my man. This is my buddy. And we've been rolling. He came in 1970 to Richmond. Yeah, he came to Richmond in 1970. And I finished school a year ahead of him. And Odell Hobbs said it. Y'all gonna be together for the rest of your lives. And he had it right. Thank God he's here. Thank God. You know, I just want to tell you in front of people, man, I love you, man. I appreciate all that you do. You don't have to stand. You don't have to stand, please. Just go take a minute.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Before you all go, I want to tell you we have another program next week. I hope you'll be here or be able to come to it. Gathering of oral history to church history. So this is something of special interest to people doing genealogy and trying to find your family history. So we hope you'll come, and Dr. L.T. Johnson is here with us tonight, and he will be leading that program next week. And I also want to give a great big thank you to Ms. Francine Hunter.
Hey.